So there's code on screen. Pause if you want to look at it at any time, but some of this stuff will include PERM specific Hito code. But that being said, if you want to take a peek in case you want to look at base enemies as well, because they pretty much use like 75% of what's on screen there, then yeah, you can feel free to do it. But basically, I think price type and oh no, these are items at the end, never mind. But the ones at the bottom here, more than a few of them are PERM specific things. So really what you're looking at is in-game names and whatnot. The intro, which is what happens before the battle, enemy information, all this should be relatively self-explanatory, except for maybe weakness, which is the one I'll talk about. It's bonus damage on the type of item in slot A, and if I get that wrong, well, I get that wrong. But aside from that, again, the rest of these should be pretty self-explanatory. Price type and name is noting what item you get after defeating the enemy. I forgot if there's other nuance there, because I don't often make enemies that drop items, but otherwise, again, the rest should be self-explanatory. Hit 1, 2, and 3 are randomized attacks that the enemy does that shows at the bottom of the chat. Art is the artwork. Shrug, that's all I have to say. Art frequency is I think it's frames before it shifts between Art 1 and Art 2. Again, but basically all you need to know is that it's the speed at which Art 1 and Art 2 change, which allows you to basically animate the enemy with 2 frames of art. And then the rest of it are pretty, intro or other lore stuff that you use mainly for inspect. But otherwise, let's just get started here, because I was on that for longer than I expected to be. But we are going to hit new story and go into a quick play run, because hey, template time. So as we get Azal Curious Birthmark into why am I blanking on that? JURI. It's been a while since I did a JURI run, actually. I guess that's why I don't remember. How many times have I randomized JURI? Anyway, not Toshi. Oh yeah, sure. No, I'm going crazy. Oh my goodness. Fight a boss. Light, second encounter, knowledge, strength, and maybe a dexterity check. Takshisan. Oh, I'm shaking my head in real life. But funny enough, we're actually going to enable the hardware store. Now, will I get anything I want? Well, that's up to me. It's because JURI does start with a fund-based personal item, if I used to use it. You don't have to use it, but I'm going to look to use it, and let's see what we have here. So, we're particularly forcing ourselves to play template first, even though we have Kana here, but Ramen, Kana, Botanist, and it should be one of these two. So, template and fetus. So, yeah, we're forcing ourselves to do template first. I think I'm going to extend the length of this mystery by 1, because the other personal thing that I don't like to do for my own mysteries, or try not to do, is to basically add more than 7 investigations, unless I have a very specific purpose. In this case, I'm extending the mystery... Hold on, let me look at this for a moment. I'm going to work with the sledgehammer, funny enough. But usually, unless in this case, what I did was that I extended by 1 because I wanted to use 3 linked events, the last one bringing you to the boss. But that does mean that in the middle somewhere that I have to add another linked event, which is why I thought it was kind of not redundant, but for lack of a better word, worthless. Nice max threat level downtown, by the way. Worthless to have to basically zip us to a location. So you're going to see we're going to go from downtown to apartments. But if you go from downtown, a linked event, into an apartment event, and, nothing happens. I'm sure there's some nuance here, but basically if this is a linked event as well, then there's no point switching the location, aside from maybe threat level, I guess. I guess that's true. But aside from that, there's not really a reason, because the other side of that is maybe you want to proc an apartment event, but at the same time you want to add in a custom event to do something during the mystery. So that's why I extended it by 1. It's not the worst thing in the world, but yeah, I'll think about it, basically. But otherwise, the only other thing is I added a quote-unquote boss at the end here. So we can go over boss talk, because I've seen some custom enemy bosses that, even though they might seem... I'm sure I complained more than like 2 or 3 custom enemy bosses. But for the most part, they all still make sense to some degree. Also, we are very, very slow. Is it because of the sledgehammer thing? It is. So, let's see here. And this is -3 all. This is real -3 all, by the way. So I'm actually gonna go 50-50 though. Why did I do this to myself? Well. What's our misery pair? What's our Azal rule experience? Oh my goodness. Well, here we go. I think funny enough we just brace here. Why am I so slow? Is it literally just a sledgehammer? It is just a sledgehammer. It affects all of our actions. Well, I guess we deal with it then. I don't want to gamble. We might have to. We're going to gamble on a coin flip. We missed the coin flip. Well, we just have to go for it now. Like, there's nothing for it. And I missed the coin flip twice, so I guess just die me. Yeah, sledgehammer was probably not the best choice here. 5 straight. I mean, I think I've used the sledgehammer once or twice, but yeah. How much damage does it do on a throw? 5? It's not the greatest, but we needed something else. And in fact, I think we're stuck with the thing. Now, something to know. Okay, we'll talk about the boss here, but you might as well. Do I get to brace regularly now? I don't. Wait, am I being affected by something else? No way, right? No, I'm not. So, yeah. Just affected by the sledgehammer for the whole thing. Well, we go for dodge. Might as well. We can't do anything else, so shrug and play another run. But I'll do a JURI run again, because this was not a good representation of JURI. That being said, so talking about custom bosses, normally they don't... they kind of hover around the either -2 all or -2 just maybe even stamina or reason. Sometimes pushing -3. We're going to hit quick play to randomize things. It is a Cthulhu Scars run, but we're going to be playing with JURI. But I wanted to talk more about, I guess, the HP that enemies are set to. So, let's see here. What are we? Scars, thingy, not True Believer. Into Kudarufu. So, as we get into our second run really quickly here, yeah, basically around the 26-28 range. You can push 24, but just note that that's if I recall correctly, that's usually lower than most bosses in World of Horror. Now, the regular boss of Nails does not does I think have like 24 base HP, but if you have an enemy, if you have a boss having high HP, usually they should be at least doing less damage overall. And when I say that, I mean you shouldn't have a 40 HP boss doing -2 all damage. You can if you really want to. Just know that I'm gonna try my best to dodge such a boss. So template Flood, Fetus, Phantasm, Sailors. So, yeah, let's get into this. But yeah, HP-wise, that power, I don't often see go more than 50-60, which even that's pushing it. Basically, any number I'm spitting out here are thresholds in which it makes the boss significantly harder. 50-60 power, yeah, 50 or 60 power value is usually the fluctuation of too high. 40-30 is pushing it, but it's not impossible, but it is still high. So really it should be like 30-40, but really 40 plus and above. HP wise, if a boss has more than 32 base HP, then yeah, they start becoming very, very, very tanky. I did not take a weapon, by the way. I really should. And then their damage definitely should not be more than 3 number-wise. And if they're doing 3 all like the boss I'm doing, it is relatively difficult. Now, that being said, the reason why I set the boss this way is because I was going to do something else that allows you to basically change the boss stats for whatnot. But this is a JURI event? No, apartment event. Wow, I haven't seen this in a while. This looks like a JURI event, though. But anywho. I failed it, didn't I? I wasn't even paying attention that much, but yeah, I was gonna have the boss get changed, both HP and damage-wise, but shrug, right? Like, I'm dealing with what I'm dealing here. If nothing else, it's a good kind of experiment to go through, even though I knew -3 all is pushing it base, because you have to remember that if you get to your 4th mystery, the boss is doing a lot more damage. Aside from that, yes, I do like to have you avoid a boss, but I wanted to try and make a mystery in which at least the boss can become easier most of the time. So, shrug, right? But otherwise, we're here doing -2 all because we're on Scars. So, this is a bit of a different run because, again, Scars lowers incoming damage, but as we continue fighting here. So the reason why 24 HP, we're going to move on to the next part, another part of that topic. The reason why I say 24 HP is a little low for bosses is because oftentimes you're usually able to do around 8 damage per turn. Now, if you're taking -2 or -3 all damage per turn on a 24 HP encounter, sure, right? That is a lot of HP to be getting hit by. That being said, it is still, you can still usually reliably 3-shot, or sometimes even 2-shot 24 HP bosses, especially if they're human bosses, which means they're vulnerable to handcuff tech. But again, overall though, if like the boss I just fought was quite powerful in my opinion, I would not want to fight that regularly, but I just figure I might as well just do a random run and see what actually happens. So, Phantasms, Fetus, Sailors last... Phantasm second or third? I guess we're gonna find out because I need to take Flood at some point. I guess I'll just do it now and we'll see what happens. That being said, I also used the Sledgehammer last run, which was a very slow weapon for JURI here, but I figured maybe I could just still do like a prep prep strong. The answer is no, by the way. Also, why am I bracing when I'm taking -1 stamina damage? It's because my muscle memory is considering a non-scars run where we'd be taking 2 stamina, and I usually like to either 2-shot without bracing or 2-shot with bracing. Preferably with bracing, but you get the point. Also, I can do a free strong attack for the first time in enemy encounters. But yes, these are the small little details here and there, because again, the butterfly knife essentially allows you to do, I think it's 18 damage per turn reliably, as opposed to 16, which, again, if you've heard me talk about it before, I'll mention it again here. 16 to 18 is kind of the threshold for enemies usually. They can be less if they hit harder or have some mechanic, or they can have higher HP based on whether or not they only do like -1, -2 stamina or reason. Particularly only -1 or -2 stamina or reason. Oh my sweet goodness, pain, by the way. So, that hurts my braces, but shrug, right? Also horror progress, but we'll do our best. So, and yeah, in this case, again, 16 HP here. If I just do this, and I think it's guaranteed for 3, it is, so I don't need to think much. But if the Ribcage Woman had 18 damage instead, and I were not using a butterfly knife with most characters, we run into a bit of an issue where we have to take another point of damage. And in Flood specifically, when we're slowly losing HP, even if it was stamina damage, you'll find that I often end up trading off 2 stamina to recover reason in this mystery. So, and again, there is an indirect kind of consideration for. Well, I did template and fought a boss, and then went into Flood where I don't have rests available until I get to at least the second investigation. But for me particularly, I'm not normally looking for other researchers, so I guess that's kind of a me thing. I don't need to worry as much. But if you're not basically resting with 1 or 2 researchers, or if you are trying to grab other researchers, then yeah, you might find yourself in a bit more pain. Just a little bit more pain. So we're going to just throw out a bunch of attacks here instead. Hopefully we hit this kick. Yeah, that way we can try to do as much damage as possible on the boss. Don't know if it's going to matter, but we're going to do our best. And again, noting that we're on scars means we're taking -1 instead of -2 reason, which is quite important. But I also wanted to try out trying to brace against the boss of template that I made so far. But hey, lo and behold, also we need to trade off stamina here. Lo and behold, I'm still in pain. So, do I do this? No, I think I just do a kick. 90% kick. We're gonna go for it. And off we go. But that being said, yeah, I think -3 all for a boss just base damage is a little much. Again, I wanted to test out to see what situations I'd be in. Maybe it's a little better, but look, basically it's just confirmation that I know that it's very painful to try to fight a -3 all boss, specifically -3 all. Some bosses do like -3 stamina or reason, but it's fine because you're only losing one of the 2. Whereas, again, if you've been with this channel enough, you've heard me talk about it before, but that if taking all damage is essentially more HP loss. If for no other reason, then you end up in a situation where 2 versions of your HP are lower, and so you need to worry about both as opposed to only losing 1, and possibly even just trading stamina for reason or reason for stamina. Yeah, that's all I have to say at the moment. We're also getting bonus damage, but we're just gonna plan to 3-turn this enemy anyway. Probably could have saved some time or risked a 2-turn, but if you fail to risk, sad things happen. Now that being said, it seems like I've been a lot more consistent lately, and certainly passing that Phantasm's mid-event is very important as well, but yeah, we're gonna grab some cigarettes with this, by the way. We might as well. Don't need the brick question mark. Don't even want to use the cigarettes yet. Oh, though, we don't need the checkbook though. So you know what? We'll grab a second pack of cigarettes and move on. Kind of jury talk for the moment though. I like using the checkbook extra times if I know I'll have more doom by way of, say, you know, maybe scissors, maybe festival, maybe flood, maybe we have Akamanto. Then I will be more willing to, hold on, I just forgot, by the way. For some reason I thought it was Azal, and now I lost my train of thought. Anywho, perception or charisma? Well, neither one's going to help me too much. We also still have frostbite, so I could just increase knowledge instead, but I'm feeling particularly lazy, so instead we just go all out with attacks and be happy with our lives. In fact, we were at 100% accuracy, but that doesn't mean bad things can't happen. Now that being said, one last thing I'll mention about template for the moment is that even though I'm basically going to force you into a boss, I do think there's at least a handful of mysteries. There should be a handful of mysteries that force a boss on you in some way at some point. But in that case, you definitely, in my opinion at least, you don't want to be giving the boss too much HP or too much damage. If you do both, that's a lot, usually, for a player, even on a Harbinger run. But once the player learns more and decides to challenge themselves with Harbinger of Doom difficulty, then yes, they're going to start feeling the damage ramp up. Now again, this is a Scar's backstory run, so the damage I'm taking is not entirely accurate, but it is still basically nuance you can get, because for all you know, maybe you can get Kana, maybe you pick up damage mitigation elsewhere. I feel like there is more damage mitigation elsewhere, but on a proc rate, I don't really believe in it, so maybe I'm just confusing like the Ritual Mask or something, or the Kendall Mask with something. Also, the Horde caught up to us, so we're stuck at level 5, but we have all this the perks we need for the moment. It would be nice to get extra stats, but that's not always going to be feasible. So, oh my goodness, why am I feeling tired at this time of the day? I shouldn't be, but let's see here. -2 all. I could just run from this, but let's just humor the issue and go all out here. So, I should focus on hitting all these attacks though. So we're going to take the -2 all. We're going to look to brace on this turn. And if I hit this, yeah, we should be able to just prep attack our way out. Especially with the power of cigarettes. I could have also thrown a brick at any time, but that's a completely different thing to think about. So, as we get a look at the end splash fetus graphic there, we have sailors left, and that should be relatively easier. Now, we do want to think about throwing 2 items away, but here and now, fun times. So, but yeah, Juri, I do like Juri. Mainly for the funds. Yes, it costs Doom to get all of those funds, but if you need the cigarettes for some reason, like you're in a very combat intensive run or boss intensive run, then shrug, right? You just gotta do what you gotta do, because otherwise you just end up taking too much HP and losing the run. Here we're gonna run though. I recall this enemy, yeah. So that was basically a boss type enemy. You can maybe sprinkle them around as random encounters, but I definitely don't want to see more than 3 in the pile. So, let's see here. I think we have the History Club, right? We'll grab an item from the History Club to toss for this side quest. And we do have the torch, and we thankfully get a light source, but that also means we can skip a boss. Yeah, I was going to mention something, never mind. But, to get back to, I guess, talking about custom content bosses again, I don't personally mind. I'll live with most things anyway. I might grumble here a bit, but for the most part, I think aside from maybe one enemy, and it's because the enemy was bugged here and there, I think most custom bosses, specifically, aren't too much of an issue. Yeah, some of them can be difficult, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean there's no way out. Now, obviously, the obvious way is that like you're playing a very combat oriented character. But aside from those kinds of characters, I don't think it should be too difficult to get through most bosses. But again, I say this as I skip bosses left, right, and center as well. Skip the boss of Coma, but what I'm talking about are more bosses that are there until you do something. In the case of Coma, you're doing this. You have to do the side quest. Did I say Coma? I'm going crazy. Sailors or Coma, basically. Sailors you can also avoid with by nature of the side quest. And it's not RNG, I think is the other part I want to highlight. So in Coma, it's not RNG because you're not dodging a boss. You literally have to do the side quest to reach the boss. Also, I don't remember. Flood, right? Yeah. And I was going to say much else. Maybe I'm getting tired. I'm going crazy already. But if that's the case, I'll try to freshen up. Or if you have anything you want me to go over in the next episode, then feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I will be working on the custom mystery still. And I will see you when I see you. I also have to release a lot of other stuff. But yeah, thank you for watching World of War Wise. Bye!